Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today, I am your host, Joe Foster, and we are going to be discussing movie themes and TV themes and what my top 10 favorite ones are. First of all, let's start with what makes a good movie or TV theme. To me, the best example for this is the idea of it gets you into the show or it gives you an idea of what you're going to be watching. Now, let's start with the list. Number 10 on the list from The Breakfast Club. It's theme Don't You Forget About Me by the band Simple Minds. This was a pop rock song of the 80s that's still doing pretty decent today. According to author Susanna Gora of You Could Not Forget Me If You Tried, which details the impact of the Brat Pack and their movies on a generation, even leading into today to some extent. But anyway, and for those of you who didn't know, the Brat Pack was Emilio Estevez, Ali Sheedy, Rob Lowe, and a good number of them, Andrew McCarthy, and a good number of those that were popular during 80s movies that often worked together. It was a play on the original name of Frank Sinatra and his little group known as the Rat Pack from the 50s and 60s. Only since this group was teenagers, and the group also included Demi Moore. But again, this group was known as the Brat Pack because they were teenagers doing a lot of coming-of-age movies that worked together. Sorry, I'll take my glasses off because the reflection on the video. But like I said, with this, according to this author's book, the original title for the song was going to be Won't You Forget About Me, but the music composer for the soundtrack of The Breakfast Club, Keith Forsey, decided to change the name to Don't You Forget About Me so it would be more optimistic. And another thing about this one that I liked is that it sounds like a high school anthem among friends or those who seek to leave a legacy behind so they'll be remembered in the future and that they can come back and people will know them instantly for. Number 9 on the list, the Halloween or Michael Myers theme from the Halloween franchise. The best thing about this one to me was that the creepy notes that they use for the song gives you that sense of fear and amazement and draws you into it, just letting you know that something's going to happen or trying to figure out figuring out what the killer's up to next, as many have seen with how some of the films have ended when this song plays. And while other films have done better about using this song, others in the franchise have done better about using this song to actually play on, like the Jaws theme did, where the killer was getting ready to attack instead. And among horror movies, this is one of the most easily recognizable themes because of how simple yet how great it is. Number 8, Techno Syndrome, aka the Mortal Kombat theme from the Mortal Kombat franchise. It's electronica and techno sound that are easily recognizable, and it's well known even to most of the kids today that have played the games and adults who knew the games growing up, and some who saw the movies that were done in the 90s, and as well as some older generations that weren't around that didn't get to play them because of life getting in the way. An interesting fact about this song is that it's actually a remix of the band 2 Unlimited song Twilight Zone. The big difference is that they added arcade effects, some voiceovers, and did a synthesizer blend when the Belgian band, the Immortals, took the song and made it into what is now known as Techno Syndrome or Mortal Kombat. Number 7. This one I had a tie on because I couldn't decide which one I liked better. But they're both from the Rocky franchise. The first one is "They're Gonna Fly Now," aka the Rocky theme, or from Rocky 3, "Eye of the Tiger" by the band Survivor. Both of these songs are actually used, even today's TV shows and movies, when they're trying to make it where one fighter is getting better to take on a stronger opponent, or one that seems unbeatable, in order to build them up. "Eye of the Tiger" was also the name. It was also used in the 1986 movie known as, of the same name. But it's different in that in this movie, it was about a man who takes on a motorcycle gang and a corrupt sheriff. I haven't seen this, but from everywhere I've looked that did the plot summary for it, the idea of the movie sounded like a mix between Walking Tall, the first Mad Max movie. I want to say it was called The Road Warrior, although it might have been Mad Max. I'm not sure which one of the two it was. And also The Punisher. The comic book hero known as The Punisher, and how it was done. But overall, it was a good one. The plot summary sounded good, but like I said, I think The Eye of the Tiger made more sense for the Rocky 3 movie with the way it was done. Another lesser-known fact, British boxer Frank Bruno did a cover of this song in 1995, which happened to be the same year he won the heavyweight title at Wembley Stadium against Oliver McCall. I didn't know about this. I have no idea who this is. But two of the other fighters he is known to have taken on are actually quite famous and well known. He took on Iron Mike Tyson twice, in 89 and in 96. 89 being when Mike Tyson would have been at one of the highest peaks in his career. This would have been around the time he took on James Buster Douglas and beat him. Another one that the other person he took on is Lennox the Lion Lewis, a fellow British boxer. And he took him on in 1993. And one good thing about this is Lennox Lewis has crossed into the WWE professional wrestling as a guy who walked the British Bulldog out, if I remember correctly, SummerSlam 1992, which also took place at Wembley Stadium. But I do know Lennox Lewis was a great boxer and hands down one of the greats. Though he didn't get much credit because a lot of people didn't really get behind him for some reason. I didn't understand why. Iron Mike Tyson, he was doing good up until he started getting into a lot of trouble and his personal life started interfering with his career, and then the whole thing with Evander Holyfield that came out during a match, and that happened, which pretty much sent his career downhill after that. Number 6, Man in Motion from St. Elmo's Fire by I'm pretty sure his name was John Parr. The album and movie St. Elmo's Fire. It's not what one thing I enjoyed about this movie is that the theme for it wasn't played much in the movie, but it was at well-placed moments in the movie where the song actually fit and made sense in a way when it was worked in. Such as during one scene in it where two friends end up in a fight when one of them ends up attacked by by the other friend, while he's dancing to this song at first, because he was drinking and just trying to kill his pain. And then this song kicks in during it, and his friend comes in and actually hits him, and it leads to like a little downfall. And then later on, but the song's played throughout the movie, and it makes a lot of sense for the times when it's played. And if you watch the music video to this, it's actually got scenes from the movie in it, as well as the actors and actresses who were the main stars of the movie, which again, the Brat Pack was in this one. Sorry, skipped a line there. And also, while this song can show how a person changes over time and how strong they can become, I also see it as a good example of a love song when either the person's been broken up with, or just showing how this person is determined to prove how great they are for this person, for this love interest they have. An example of this is a line that's used in the song and it states, "You broke the boy in me, but you won't break the man." And I think it's a good one for that. And another interesting fact is that there's actually a error in the movie where Rob Lowe's character mistakenly claims that St. Elmo's Fire actually doesn't exist, and neither did the Saint. And both have actually been proven to be wrong. I mean, to actually exist. The St. Elmo's Fire is actually a natural occurring phenomenon, which is actually similar to how neon signs work, where you take where they use plasma to actually charge the gas, and when it charges it, it pulls apart the electrons and protons, causing the glow that happens, causing it to light up. By whichever gas hits will determine the color that it actually lights up as. It's been known to be green, orange, purple. It's had various colors. And another thing about this is that it's actually argued, and I got that from Scientific America, as well as some other news articles and scientific reports to make sure that it wasn't something just one person said existed. Also, among scholars, it's argued, though, whether St. Elmo was himself a real person, or if it's actually St. Aramis of Formia, who was known as St. Elmo. The interesting thing about this is that St. Aramis is actually the patron saint of mariners, as well as the fighter of colic in children, the pain of women in labor. So it would actually make sense if he was, in fact, the St. Elmo that's actually referred to in this. Though, like I said, it's argued among scholars as to whether it is or if St. Elmo was a completely different person. And the whole legend behind St. Elmo's Fire actually comes from St. Aramis ignoring a bolt of lightning that struck nearby when he was preaching. The sailors, that's actually how this came to be known. But while at sea, sailors who see this phenomenon actually see it as it being a sign that they're protected by the saint. Where you know him as St. Elmo, St. Aramis, even though I'm probably mispronouncing his name when I say that, but like I said, the mariners and other sailors who see this feel it is a sign of protection by the saint when they see this phenomenon, and that he's actually blessing them on their journey. Number 5, Everything I Do It For You by Bryan Adams from the Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves soundtrack. This version of the movie actually features Kevin Costner in the lead role of our hero. and even has Christian Slater as a character known as Will Scarlet in it. And there's actually two versions of this video, one of which includes scenes from the movie in it, as well as it just being a lot. I mean, as well as Bryan Adams and the group performing in the woods. The other version states that it's supposed to be a live video, but it doesn't actually state how it's any different. So I don't know what the other version actually looks like because I couldn't find it. With this one in particular, because I saw the Robin Hood movie, is how I actually first heard the song. And when I saw it as this song actually showed the love between Marion and Robin and how strong it was. And a line from the song is actually reflected in is actually used in the movie. One of the lines in the song is "I'd die for you." Well, in the movie, Marion looks at Robin and says, "You came for me," and Robin's answer to this is "I'd die for you." And before that, when they're getting ready to go do this big scene, sorry for the spoiler in that, when they're doing this, he's asked by his friend how far he would go for this woman, and his answer to this guy is, "I would die for her," proving how strong it is. The same time that this was released for the movie soundtrack, Bryan Adams also released it on his what's listed as his 6th album release, Waking Up the Neighbors. And even today, this song is still known to be a couples song and played at high school dances as well as middle school dances. What I found interesting is that you can even look on YouTube and find it where it's actually played at weddings as the first dance the couple has during the reception. And a really interesting fact about this, even though I'm going to say that it's a rumor because I can't find anywhere where Bryan Adams admitted to this or anybody who had anything to do with it when it was written, the song was supposedly written in 45 minutes because Adams was under pressure. So if anybody can actually find that, let me know, because I would actually like to know that myself, if that was actually true. And there are 2 covers of this song, both of which can be found on YouTube. One is by Fatima Mansions. I'm probably mispronouncing it. It's an Irish art rock band. I didn't even know that was real styling and had to look it up to find out what it means, but it's basically rock music that's supposedly taking on avant-garde style in it. And I'm not sure how you make rock music have avant-garde sound to it. But I do not actually recommend this version to listen to, as it doesn't sound that great in my opinion. The second version was done by the singer Brandy, and it's actually really good and has a mellow tone to it, but still expresses the love in it, in her voice when she's singing it. But overall, I would still say if you're going to listen to any one of the 3, go with the first one, the Bryan Adams version. You won't regret it because it's actually better. Number 4. This is another one where I came up with 2, and these actually came from the same movie. And both are by Huey Lewis and the News, and it's Power of Love and Back in Time from the movie Back to the Future. There have been numerous videos made for this on YouTube where it's actually videos set to the movie itself and finding ways to make it. But the actual video that was made for this features Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown character with his modified DeLorean, going to a show where Huey Lewis and the News are actually getting ready to perform on stage, and it's actually playing this song, and this is the song they're actually singing for it. But it looks more like a bar type scene rather than like an actual concert type area. Also, Huey Lewis actually appeared in the movie, and a lot of people didn't recognize him. When Marty and his band, the Pinheads, try out for whatever, I think it's a school dance or a battle of the bands type situation, they're trying to get into it, and Marty, played by Michael J. Fox, and the band actually start to play the song Power of Love, but they don't get much further than the opening lines in the opening music in it, because they're actually told that by a person with a megaphone that they're actually too darn loud. That person that tells them that is actually Huey Lewis in the movie, in that role. I found this listed in multiple places, and I'm pretty sure it was even on Jeopardy at least once. Though I can't 100% confirm that. But the original theme for the movie, wasn't actually going to be Power of Love, but Back in Time. And when you listen to the song Back in Time, which, again, like I said, was also done by Huey Lewis and the News, it actually mentions the characters and talks more about the story, unlike the song Power of Love did. And the rumor is that when this song was actually thought to be a suggestion to actually be the theme for the movie, Warner Brothers actually turned it down and went with Power of Love instead. Number 3 on this lovely list is Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr. from the Ghostbusters franchise. What probably helped this one sell, even though it was a good song overall, is the lawsuit Huey Lewis actually filed against Ray Parker Jr. over plagiarism, because the music in it was too similar to I Want a New Drug. But Huey Lewis ended up winning, and as the deal with it, he got a nice amount of money from the sales that were done for this song. And it did really well, actually. And when Ray Parker Jr. was, according to him, when he actually came up with the idea for this song, he was up one night, couldn't sleep, and he was watching infomercials on television. And one came on, and it reminded him that in the script, there's a similar scene where they're trying to start the Ghostbuster business. And when he wrote the song, he wrote it as if it was a jingle being used by the characters for the business in the movie, rather than just as the song for it. There's also rumors that go around that Lindsey Buckingham, who did the theme song for National Lampoon's Vacation, for the National Lampoon's Vacation movies, the song known as Holiday Road, that he was actually approached for this, but he turned it down because he didn't want to be known as a soundtrack artist. And I say it's a rumor, but this one could be argued because he states this in an album he released in 1992 called Words and Music, a retrospective. And the ending scene in the video, in the music video, shows Ray Parker Jr. along with the Ghostbusters actually doing a dance down Main Street. That same scene was actually when they created the animated series for it called The Real Ghostbusters. The original one they created, not Extreme Ghostbusters, New Ghostbusters, and all the other stuff they came up with later on. But in The Real Ghostbusters, as well as the 2009 video game of Ghostbusters, both actually feature this scene in it. In Real Ghostbusters, they played it during the ending credits of the animated series, and it would show them dancing down Main Street to like everybody celebrating and cheering them on. When this was actually shot for the music video, they closed down Times Square just to film this scene. But an interesting fact about it is that this scene only appears in the music video, the animated series, and the video games. It does not appear anywhere in either of the two Ghostbusters movies that were made that featured, that were in the 80s. The Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. I'm not including the reboot when I was talking about that. But I don't remember it being in the reboot scene, in the Reboots movie either. Though a lot of them did make their appearances. And I'm actually looking forward to the third one that they're supposed to be making. That's going to be which is going to be a third movie for the original two, and not having to do with the reboot. Also, in the music video to this, Chevy Chase, John Candy, George Wendt III, who many people would probably know more as his character from Cheers, Norm, and Danny DeVito all appear in the video singing the Ghostbusters refrain. Chevy Chase, during it, has a cigarette in his mouth, and towards the end of the video, when he's supposed to come back and sing again, he actually chokes on it. He actually briefly chokes on it. And he gets stuck in his mouth, and he chokes on it and ends up spitting it out. Well, the thing is, I'm actually curious whether that was actually planned for the video, or if it really was just an accident that happened to Chevy during the thing. During the filming that they just thought was cute and left in. Number 2, I'll Be There For You by the Rembrandts, from the TV show Friends. I found this song to be fitting to life as well as the show itself. It was fitting to the show because it showed how close they were, and we got to see the highs and lows of each of the people's lives that were in the show. And when they filmed the music video for this, actually, the NBC execs didn't like the original script for the video, so they rewrote it. Well, when they rewrote it, they let the cast members see, and none of them liked it. So the rewrite was trashed. And instead, they told the cast members during the video to do humorous antics, which is what we ended up getting with the Rembrandts version of the video. But again, back to my other point, with this song, besides it being good for the show because it showed how close they were in life, I see it as being about friendship and the importance of friendships and people's lives in themselves and how they fit around to everybody else. And how you can't expect everything to be perfect, but you always have that person that you can rely on. That'll be there for you and be there to help you and make you feel better. Also, this is the only song that the Rembrandts didn't compose themselves, but the song composer does actually appear in the video playing the piano. And also something I didn't know. Sorry. Got ahead of myself again. It's an upbeat, and I already told you how I felt it was an upbeat song that showed the importance of friendship and how everybody has that one person or their friend or their family that you feel like you can go to and they'll be there to make everything better. Another nice thing about this is that this song, though it was originally written just for the show, was another one. It was another one that actually got extended because people would call into radio stations wanting them to play the Friends song, and nobody had it. So the record people told them to make a full length song out of it. Because all they had originally was just what was used for the TV show, opening credits of it. And what made it even more great is that song ended up not just becoming popular then, it's still popular today. There are kids who weren't even born when the final episode aired that know this song, and teens who may have been young enough to have seen the final episode, or not even, or again, might not have been born yet, but college students and adults who actually know this show, even though it's been off the air for 15 years. The last episode aired in May of 2004. On May 6, 2004. Something that really surprised me, Courtney Cox, who on the show played Monica Geller, and Matt LeBlanc, who played Joey on the series, both appear in other music videos that happened before they did the show Friends. Courtney Cox, who had been playing the drums since the 11th grade, and in the music video for I'll Be There For You, she plays the drums in it. But anyways, after she graduated high school, she started playing. She'd been playing the drums since she was in the 11th grade. 3 years later, she had her acting debut in a Bruce Springsteen music video, Dancing in the Dark. I didn't know that was her acting debut, but I do find that interesting, and when I go back and look at it, it's actually hard to believe it was her when I first saw it, because I didn't actually recognize her. And I'd seen that video a dozen times. And then one day, it actually hit me, and I realized it, and I was like, wow, how different she looks between then and now. Then and when Friends happened. As for Matt LeBlanc, he was in the music video of Bob Seger's Night Moves, which came out in 1994. The song came out in like the 60s or 70s, but they did like a special for it to celebrate its anniversary because it was considered a classic, and it was considered to be so great. Something that LeBlanc probably might have wanted to avoid saying is that when he did the music video to Night Moves, he was actually drunk during the entire shooting of the video. Because right before they started shooting it, him and Bob Seger drank a whole bottle of tequila together. Also, with the Rembrandts, this was the only song they didn't want on their album, but they were forced to put it on there later on. But since it was added, what's really bad is that even after it was added so late that when it hit stores, they hadn't had time to make corrections to the cover art for it. So people didn't actually know that the song was one of the tracks on the albums that were on the album when it was released. Okay, now I'm going to do some notable mentions that I enjoyed that I thought were, again, I think they're fitting for when they were used for. But these are notable mentions that didn't make the list. Number 7 on the list, Second Time Around from Step by Step. Number 6, Brand New Start from Who's the Boss. Hard to believe that was early days of Alyssa Milano's career. Shows how good she was as an actress. Number 5 on the list, As Long as We Got Each Other, from the TV show Growing Pains. An interesting fact about this one that I'm going to mention is that there's actually a full-length version of it. If you look up the performers of it, B.J. Thomas and Jennifer Warnes. Jennifer Warnes, most people will remember as doing the Dirty Dancing theme, I've Had the Time of My Life. But it turns out she actually did this song as well. And there's, like I said, there's actually a full-length version of this that goes over 2 or 3 minutes. With a little help, number 4. Sorry, I'm miscounting my head. I'm having to reverse the order. Number 4, With a Little Help from My Friends, played on the Wonder Years. While this was originally done by the Beatles, I prefer the version that was used in the TV show, which was also on the album of the actual singer that did it, and that's Joe Cocker. The Beatles did it originally, and I'm not a fan of the Beatles almost at all, but this song, I really don't think they should have done. It was a good thing when Joe Cocker took it and actually made it popular in his way. Number 3, moving on up, from the Jeffersons. The songs and lyrics were, the song lyrics in this one are actually later reused in Nelly's Batter Up song. The video features Sherman Hemsley, aka George Jefferson, even though he was not the original George Jefferson. If you go back and watch All in the Family, you can see the original George Jefferson as well as when Sherman took over the role. But again, when he appears in this, he actually does what's known as the Jefferson dance. Some call it the Sherman Steps, and I'm not actually sure what the actual name for what he's doing is, but it's actually very good. Number 2 on the notable mentions is the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air thing. It told you the premise of the show, as well as all the information you basically needed for the pilot episode that led right into the whole episode. But also, the song itself gets you in the mood with the upbeat sound and gets you drawn into it that easily. And on the notable mentions, the last one for it is from the TV show General Hospital. It's the theme they used from 1993 to 2004, Faces of the Heart. Recommend listening to it, and I'm pretty sure you'll actually enjoy it. And the video itself was done nicely, where it featured clips from this throughout the series and of the characters, as well as, after a while, it actually started showing their names in it as well, rather than the classic theme and what they got now. Again. Okay, and now for my number 1 on the list of top 10 movie and TV theme songs, Everywhere You Look from Full House and Fuller House. Although I prefer the Full House version, where it was Jesse Frederick singing. It's ran the entire series. And one good thing about this one, like with Friends and Cheers, this one is another one that actually ran the entire series as well, though this one also ran the sequel series, Fuller House, as well, when it hit on Netflix. The only difference is the singer changed from Jesse Frederick to Carly Rae Jepsen doing it. And another thing about it, even though it had the same theme, after season 2, they actually, from season 3 through 7, it was shown at times to actually drop a lyric from the song. And in the finals, and in season 8 of the initial Full House, it actually was just picking up from the chorus once it started. And Carly Rae Jepsen, when she got asked to do this song, she wanted to do what she called an upgrade to it, and she actually went to Jesse Frederick, who was the co-writer of the song as well as the original performer, and asked him how to make it better, and they actually worked out to what became the theme used on Netflix. And again, another reason I really enjoyed this song is that it shows the importance of the family, the friends, and yourself in the song rather than everybody, and rather than just being some happy sounding song that they made up for the show in that way. But yes, back to my other point. When the song lyric that gets taken out often from the 3rd through the 7th season goes, "This whole world's confusing." I mean, somebody tell me how I got delivered here. "This whole world's confusing me. Clouds mean as you've ever seen. Not a bird knows your tune. Then a little voice inside you whispers, 'Kid, don't sell your dream so soon.'" And like I said, in season 8, it dropped the entire first verse, and it basically dropped the entire verses altogether and just stuck with the chorus after it played the opening part of the song. And again, that's also another song I meant to add to the notable mentions list that I didn't. The "Where in World is Carmen Sandiego" theme from the game show in the early 90s. The thing that makes this one interesting is that when they initially came up with the idea for the show, it was because of a study they did on kids and some adults, where they were asked to identify places on a map. One of the biggest problems they had is that kids couldn't locate the Pacific Ocean, and adults had trouble locating simple states that were known to be well known to travelers. Like, they missed Hawaii, Alaska, Florida, Georgia, Illinois even. And I was wondering how they missed this stuff so easily and couldn't locate it. Now, if it's like Vermont, New Hampshire, I can understand, because I've gotten those two mixed up a lot at times on where they're located on the map, which way. But a lot of the ones they were missing, if that had to do with the U.S. itself, made me wonder how they could miss them. Like I said, missing the Pacific Ocean, that was really bad. And so they came up with this idea in order to help kids learn geography and be able to move on and actually do well. They figured out a way to make it fun. But anyways, number 1 on my list, the "Where in World is Carmen Sandiego" is actually my favorite TV theme of all. But when it comes to the actual being related to the TV show and the movie to get you ready for it and actually doing like that, then Full House's "Everywhere You Look" wins. So, what is your favorite movie or TV theme of all time? And also, feel free to leave it in the comment, as well as what you would like for me to do for an upcoming video. Because I actually do read these comments, and I like to know these things about the people who watch. And if you make the suggestion, I'm actually likely to do it. So let me know. Have fun.